Observe a chimpanzee in the wild. Once a female chimp loses the ability to reproduce, her health fails rapidly. She rarely survives beyond her fertile years. Humans follow a different biological path. Even in high-mortality hunter-gatherer societies, women routinely remain healthy and economically productive for decades after their childbearing years end. This logic model illustrates the grandmother hypothesis. By providing food and care for weaned children, ancestral grandmothers allowed mothers to have their next baby sooner without compromising the survival of the existing offspring. Human longevity likely emerged from this specific loop of intergenerational dependency. We evolved to survive past our own fertility because the presence of postmenopausal women provided a massive survival advantage to the lineage. The practice of sustaining those who can no longer forage for themselves is ancient. Archaeological records show that human ancestors were caring for the elderly and disabled at least 500,000 years ago. Inside the Shanidar Cave in modern Iraq, researchers found the remains of a Neanderthal who lived to an advanced age despite a crushing eye injury that likely blinded him, profound hearing loss, and a withered, amputated arm. In an Ice Age environment where survival required constant physical labor, a blind and crippled individual survived for over a decade. His life depended on a group that chose to actively provision and protect him. These findings suggest that elder care is a foundational adaptive behavior. Our species survived because we built social structures that buffered the weak against the risks of the natural world. The agricultural revolution formalized this biological design. When survival became tied to land ownership and inheritance, elders became the primary authorities over extended family networks. Ancient civilizations codified this authority into the machinery of the state. In Rome, the stability of the republic rested on the Senate, a word derived from senex, meaning old man. The elder male, or paterfamilias, held absolute legal authority over the household. This social integration leveraged a specific neurological trait, crystallized intelligence. While younger brains process new information faster, the older brain excels at pattern recognition and complex conflict resolution, skills essential for maintaining the community's oral traditions and legal codes. For 99% of our history, elders were the necessary anchors of the multi-generational tribe. Living, working, and dying within the same family dwelling was the universal standard for survival. This integrated model fractured during the Industrial Revolution. As production shifted to the factory, survival required a mobile workforce. In this new urban economy, landless elders who could not perform factory labor often became an economic liability for their migrating children. The family unit began to shrink. The broad, interdependent network was replaced by the nuclear family, a small, child-centric group optimized for geographic mobility rather than intergenerational support. This nuclear model is a recent invention. It has only existed for about 150 years, a tiny fraction of our evolutionary history. In the 20th century, the suburban boom and corporate culture finalized the physical separation. Families began relocating for education and advancement, leaving the older generation behind. Society responded to this growing isolation by institutionalizing care. Nursing homes and specialized communities became the norm, physically segregating the aged from the rest of the population. For the first time in human history, we have engineered an environment that physically separates the individual from the evolutionary support system that once guaranteed our survival. This isolation takes a biological toll. Without a consistent social role, the neural pathways that sustain cognitive health begin to atrophy. For an elder, social isolation is a primary driver of cognitive decline and depression. Parents and children pay a different price. Without the support of grandparents, modern parents face the total burden of childcare and crisis management alone. The modern epidemics of caregiver burnout and parental stress align with this evolutionary mismatch. Our current family structures are fundamentally out of sync with our biological requirements. Despite the narrative that an aging population is a drain on resources, the quantitative data reveals that older adults are actually a vital economic engine. In the U.S. alone, grandparents provide approximately $731 billion in uncompensated childcare every year. Adding the $172 billion in direct financial support brings the total grandparent economy to over $900 billion annually. This unacknowledged labor acts as a massive infrastructure subsidy. It is the engine that allows millions of modern parents to remain in the workforce. Even within a fractured system, the older generation is the primary force holding the modern family together. To repair this mismatch, modern movements are attempting to re-engineer the village. We are seeing a surge in co-housing and intentional intergenerational community designs. These models use shared spaces and communal living to restore the daily organic interdependence that urbanization dismantled. Our species was built on intergenerational connectivity. Repairing the village isn't just a lifestyle choice. It's the restoration of the behavioral scaffolding that made our species successful.